What a day. I wish this people's audit could be on daily circulation, from hustle to hardship. Now, friends, and ladies and gentlemen, riding again on the protocols already established, my twin sister, you are very free to leave. I think you should have ended by saying, rather than asking them to give you the responsibility, use the plural, give us. Because we are a team. A very good afternoon. I had come late because I'd asked Dr. Makalimulu, and I'm happy that speakers have quoted their wonderful remarks. Allow me to place some of these things on record because I consider this so historic, so important, that indeed it is an occasion for both celebration of a combination, as we heard from Brian, of imagination and bravery. Let me begin by thanking Tisha and the Okoa Uchumi campaign. I don't blame Mother. We were in Okoa, Kenya together. We continue to go Okoa, Kenya, but this time we are changing tact. It is liberation time. It is Ukombozi time. We're going beyond Kuokoa to Kukomboa. And all the partners, including our development partners, who have made it today possible. Your presence here speaks to the weight of this moment for our country. I also want to appreciate the speakers who have guided us through the key issues raised in this report. Makalimulu, again, you're there to receive it on me. I can't wait to get a copy and go through it. Their insights remind us that Kenya stands at a crossroads, and the choices we make now will determine the future we hand over to our children. I also want to say, friends, that today is not just another event on the national calendar. It is a moment of collective reflection on the state of our republic. The People's Audit lays bare a reality Kenyans have been feeling for far too long. Something is deeply wrong with how our public finances are being handled. And with the IMF's governance and corruption diagnostic on the horizon, this report is a timely reminder that we must scrutinize ourselves before others do it for us. I therefore commend Tisha, Okoa Uchumi, and all partners behind this effort. You have given the country a factual and varnished picture of what is happening and what must change. This report does not just speak in numbers. It captures the day-to-day struggles of Kenyans whose lives are being shaped and in many cases strained by poor governance. Ladies and gentlemen, our public debt has now surpassed, as we heard from Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro, 12 trillion. 12.5 trillion. That figure is not abstract. It affects families, businesses, counties, and the very foundation of our development agenda. But the real issue is not only the size of the debt, it is how we got here. I want to dare suggest we got here through unquestionable and corrupt decisions, through unnecessary and reckless borrowing, through sheer incompetence, inflated or abandoned projects, and through weakening of the very institutions meant to safeguard the public purse. We've heard of the state capture of parliament. I'm personally so happy to see this wonderful, almost like to call you remnant, the remnant of Sita 13th parliament. Ndindi, so refreshing to hear you. And Karole Omondi, so refreshing to hear you. Even you have dug deep into the history of Safaricom itself. And Makalimulu, you see, if you rise to the occasion as my sister has suggested, you will be able to save this nation and make it different. And you know we are there with you. Ndindi Nyoro, I said in Bondo the day before yesterday. I'm just about to speak it out, so at least itoke. So that a country will know. And you're almost there, because the chair of the budget committee, of course I'm not quite sure he's still there, but you've done a good job as member for Kiharu for sure. But now you have to do the extra thing. Bring it out, because then that will torpedo you to the next level. We all know where we have come from. And now we are witnessing a dangerous trend. The rushed sale of attempted sale of critical national infrastructure and strategic assets. Here I'm referring to Safaricom, and we have all heard about Safaricom. The JKI, which we were able to stop in court. Kenya Pipeline, among others, done without transparency, without public participation, and without any regard for the Constitution. Let me say this clearly and without hesitation. This is truly unacceptable. It is unconstitutional, and it will not stand. And we will not allow it to stand. So come out. Some of us are as simple as you see us. When we say it, we say it. And let me also be crystal clear. Countries do not prosper by selling their inheritance. They prosper by protecting it. Kenya will not become the Singapore, quote in quote, imagined by the current regime if that entrepreneurship and rotobotomish continues and is left unchecked. You cannot auction off to yourself what belongs to the people. Singapore was built on order, on discipline, on accountability, and a fierce intolerance for corruption, not the chaos, the carelessness, and the impunity we are witnessing today. I hope that those who are talking about Singapore will have read in some detail the wonderful action, writing by Lee Kuan Yew, the Prime Minister of Singapore, who was there to shape a nation that moved to become what Singapore is today. Ladies and gentlemen, public finance is a public trust, and every leader at the national and county level has a duty to defend that trust. After all, you've all been there swearing that you uphold the Constitution as by law established, and I want to tell you, a lot of you, particularly those who belong to the state capture team, are already in breach. In fact, it is perjury in law. Perjury. Swearing to stuff you don't believe in. This culture of budgeting with corruption already baked into the process clearly must end. And now we have heard from Ndindi Nyoro, apart from the budget, they want now to do it outside the budget, so they can now compound the stealing, the thieving. And it will end. And those who have turned budgeting into a personal enrichment scheme will be held to account. That I can promise you in the next administration. We must also push back against the shrinking of civic space. A confident government listens to its people. It does not intimidate them. It does not order for the young ones to be shot on the legs. If we are serious about rebuilding trust and restoring fiscal stability, several actions cannot wait. Number one, according to me, a transparent, fair, and people-centered debt restructuring process. Secondly, a parliament empowered to provide genuine oversight, because the executive cannot supervise itself. And right now, that is exactly what is happening. William Ruto gets out of the 13th parliament everything he wants, without even blinking. Number three, protection of our oversight institutions. The Auditor General and Controller of Budget have said these are two wonderful ladies that have done this country proud. And of course, I want to add their EACC. And this must be ring-fenced and protected from political interference. Number four, deep reforms in procurement and public investment management to end the cycle of inflated contracts, ghost projects, and the sheer waste. And fifthly, a credible, transparent approach to privatization, one that respects public interest, not a hurried disposal of national assets. These steps are not about politics. They're about Kenya's survival. And with regard to the big problem with the Safaricom, you know, there are times that some of us are also now dealing with Safaricom, being used as an institution that was oppressing Kenyans. That apart. Because if you hear it from the Americans, they say, yeah, we work with Safaricom to work for regional security. We have the problem in the Horn of Africa. Yes. But Safaricom were not supposed to be assisted by those external players only to end up hurting its own citizens. That's a different story. Now, the real story is Safaricom belongs to the people of Kenya. And it cannot just be auctioned. The share, and in the Nyoro, I know that I think I used to read that you're one of the majority shares at Kenya Power and Lighting. You started this practice in year one at university, so you have a lot of experience. But if the Safaricom share is sold at face value or undervalued, we all know there's a big cut, what Carolo Mondi even calls free carry, maybe free carry and that kind of thing. Somebody is about to steal big time. We will stop them. And therefore, Wakili Njiru Ndegwa and the team, we have a team assembled of a team of 100 advocates to move to court and to stop this nonsense about selling without public participation this national asset. Dear friends, as we head towards 2027 general election, I reaffirm my commitment to a Kenya where public money is treated with dignity, transparency guides decision-making, corruption is confronted and not defended, and national assets are safeguarded for future generations. Have we not even heard that we're stealing even from the region? Just imagine we're getting gold from Darfur. That is blood money. We bring it here tonight, a JKI is repackaged, given under rules of origin, it becomes Kenyan gold, exported to the United Arab Emirates, and that is used to fund the war effort in Sudan. Today, the world is carrying at the largest humanitarian crisis, where those Sudanese, some of them, if they are lucky to cross into Chad, right? If they are lucky to, and others starving to death, even getting shot, even in the hospitals. What are we doing as a country? We never used to be this way. We were the custodians of regional peace and security. We are never involved. Over the years that I was the Minister for Foreign Affairs and dealing with bringing peace to the region, the negotiation of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, which gave rise to the world's newest state, the Republic of South Africa. The problems in Somalia. There are times I even said with the late General Audit to make sure that Somalia does not continue becoming a problem. Because as long as Somalia in the region is a sick neighbor, we can never be free as a country. Because we never choose our neighbors. And we had to work hard. But now we are working hard to inflame those situations, to make the region even a lot more unsafe. Even when we remove the D from IGAD, as it then was, Intergovernmental Authority on Drought and Development, dealing only with Nziges, locusts and things, we converted it to Intergovernmental Authority on Development. We did a lot to anchor this country to be what it is. And the other day I said, even when the late Kofi Annan came and promoted UNEP to become now the fourth headquarters of the United Nations, and some of our friends, remember the Director General of UNEP that time, Elizabeth Dosdewell, taking over from Mustafa Tolba, who founded UNEP, and there was a conspiracy to remove UNEP from Nairobi. Some of us stood strongly, and together with a group of 77 from plus China, we were able to salvage UNEP. Today, Nairobi is a UN headquarters. Today, even this week, I think there's a huge conference taking place in Nairobi. And when that happens, we receive a lot of foreign exchange, or don't we? And we continue to grow this economy. Therefore, Nairobi is important, and so as members of the UN, and that is what we try to really make this country become a very strategic nation in this region, working for world peace and security. Kenya deserves leadership that is steady, honest, and accountable. Our children deserve a country that cannot be bought or sold. But I think the current leadership, they're in a hurry to sell everything, auction everything. But we hold them accountable. They can't do that and get away with it. Ladies and gentlemen, we can turn this country around, but only if we face the truth and act on it. The People's Audit gives us a clear starting point, and the responsibility now rests with all of us. Thank you, and may God bless Kenya.
I'm going to invite Sheila to also come and pass the report to Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka before he steps down, just as we are done with the rest of those who were here earlier. And just move slightly.